talking of Hero, which in this country is one of those songs that has been, I mean, what, you released it in '93?
I don't know. I don't keep track of time, darling. It doesn't exist in my vortex.
Well, it exists in mine.
When are you going to learn this? I told you this.
Have I not been listening?
You've not been listening again.
I can only apologise. Well, let's just say it was, for the sake of argument, say it was 1993.
I'll pretend that I know what that means.
Okay, okay.
To me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
In my mind, it's making sense.
All right, good.
And it's one of those songs that has been kind of constantly in the public consciousness since then. So for a long time, which is amazing in itself. And recently, it was. You came over onto a little show we do over here called X Factor, and all of the contestants sung a version of Hero for charity.
Yes.
Did you get to hear any of it?
I sang with them, actually, yeah.
Did you? On the charity record they did?
On the show.
Oh, just on the show.
We sang the song together. And as the writer of the lyrics and the melody, you know, people have to ask you if, I mean, they don't actually have to ask you if they can put this song out, but when money comes in, if it's for charity, you have to say, yes, I agree, or no, I'm going to be greedy and I want the money.
What did you say?
I said I want the money. No, I'm only kidding.
Charity? Wouldn't
what the
have
hell is
so.
that?
I've worked hard for this. I didn't sit there writing that for this. If you were starting out today, do you think that you might have gone down an X Factor route?
I hope not, because I don't know. I don't think I have the personality for that. Like I
Really?
just, I don't want to be critiqued. I mean, it's like too much.
When you appeared on last year's show, you did some sort of master classes with people, and you did one with Alexandra Burke, who went on to win, and she performed a version of Without You, which you said was outstanding. How impressed by her were you? Because she says she was like unbelievably nervous meeting you, and like couldn't sort of look you in the eye, and was like crying and stuff.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
She seemed very confident.
she was really kind of just in awe, basically.
Oh, well, I'm happy for her that she won. Is she doing a record now, or she did one?
Yes, yeah. She's released her single Bad Boys, which did really well, and it's going good.
Good. I'm happy for her. I really liked her.
Now I'm going to take you back to the like the early days now, the earliest days of Mariah Carey.
So birth.
I'm talking. Well, I'm going to weigh in at 3. So
3 is good.
0 to 3 we're going to ignore. 3. So apparently is when you started singing, but you weren't sort of singing along to R&B or pop or anything like that. You were singing along to opera.
Well, that's the one story that my mother tells, but the other story is that I was obsessed with the radio, and I was singing to R&B.
Oh, you were doing both?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were singing to anything?
I was singing to anything, and I used to steal the radio from, like, you know, the portable radio, and steal it and sing under the covers in my bed and stuff like that.
See, this is why we've turned out differently, because I used to just hide under the bed with a book, just on a torch.
Yeah.
That's not as cool, is it?
Well, actually, it is, but...
To be fair, my reading's pretty good.
Well, actually, mine was pretty good. I was a speed reader in school. People don't know that.
Speed reader?
You could have
What
this...
does that mean?
Oh, you guys don't have that
No.
here? I guess it's just an American thing. There's this machine that you look at, and like the words come really fast, and they ask you how much you retain of the story, and you have to tell them. And
I'd love to have a go on that.
tells you, it tells you, you know, how well you read and what you should do if you're capable of doing the speed reading thing or whatever. So they had that when I was like in 1st grade, and I learned how to read really fast. And then I used to read a lot when I was little too. But then I sort of went into, when I have free time, I write. I do, you know, I just would write songs.
Are you a speed writer?
No.
Okay, you can't have everything. When you were a teenager, you were doing sort of backing vocals, singing for other singers, recording demos in local recording studios. I can't imagine you as a backing singer, really. It must have been tough for the other singers that you were backing, no? Sort of looking over their shoulder going, geez, Loads better than me. It's off-putting.
No, I was just thinking the other day about that time in my life, and I was like, you know, that was so much easier because you're not in front, and people aren't watching every single thing you do. You're in the back, and, you know, maybe if one note isn't perfect, no one's gonna care that much, you know, but I got the chance to learn, like, from the ground up, you know.
Who were your kind of singing influences at the time? So when you were a teenager, I've heard that you were a massive Whitney Houston fan, for example.
Well, yes, everybody loved, and I think they still love Whitney Houston.
Were you very excited, you know, as a fan of Whitney when you did the duet with her?
Yeah, it was fun. We actually had a good time.
Was it kind of intimidating to be on the same record as someone that you've kind of grown up admiring?
I was just like, this is unbelievable. This is amazing.
Was it tempting to try and kind of outdo each other to an extent, though?
I don't think so, because we were even talking when we were doing the record that, you know, when we were doing certain harmonies, that we were blending in a way that sometimes we would get confused, like, did you do that note, or am I doing this note? So it was cool.
Okay, time for a quick break, but we will be back for more of me, and probably more importantly, more of her. That sound okay to you, Mariah?
That sounds wonderful.
If you'd said no, I mean, I would have made you do it anyway.
I guess so.
We'll see you in a minute. Now, I wanted to talk to you about a famous story that, for me, is almost too good to be true. So I wanted to ask you and get the facts about how you got your record deal. Now, the story goes that you went to a party, met Tommy Mottola, who was like a big exec at Columbia at the time, gave him your demo. He went off, listened to it in the car, liked it so much he came back to the party. You weren't there, and then he had to track you down like a sort of a Cinderella, sort of going, seeing if the tape fitted your foot or whatever. That doesn't quite work. Is that what happened?
That's a version of what happened.
Give me your version.
Well, it's not that different, except I was a backup singer at that time, as I told you. I was singing for Brenda K. Starr. She brought me to this party to meet a guy named Jerry Greenberg, who she used to work with when she at another label. And so I went to the party, you know, looking as good as I could with the clothing that I had, because
what were you rocking?
Had very little. Well, it's like this. We have these kind of jackets. They look like school jackets. That's like what I had on.
Okay.
And like this black dress, the only dress except this pink thing that wouldn't have worked, that I could find, and tights, and I couldn't wear Brenda's shoes because her feet were too small, so I had to wear like
sneakers.
Well, they were kind of like sneakers, but they were really, really ugly, and then like this big socks. It wasn't pretty, but she said, "Did you notice that guy staring at you? And his name is blah blah blah." You said it before, and then he came up and said, "Who's your friend?" or something like that, and she had my tape in her hand. She handed him the tape. She said, "This is my friend. She's 18. She writes her own songs. She's da 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 da."
She's smoking.
And so then we went upstairs to the ladies' room, and she was like, "Oh, do you know who that was? I can't believe it. I can't believe it." And then the rest of the story is pretty much true. He tracked me down through Brenda's management.
How did it feel when you eventually did sign that record deal after, you know, being a backing singer for a while, for a few years or whatever? You must have been kind of overwhelmed. You know, suddenly you're recording a single, you're making a video.
I was totally ecstatic. Everything was amazing. All I said that I really needed was the ability to not have to use other writers' songs. I wanted to make sure they didn't try to control me in that way. Who knew the control that would happen later?
Sure.
But, you know.
You have often said that you weren't so pleased with the first album because you felt that you were slightly forced to make it too commercial. Do you still, when you listen to the album, if you do listen to the album now, do you still feel that way?
I like a couple songs. I like Vision of Love. But
Your first number one?
My first number one, R&B and pop. And to me, that set the tone for my career, but the label wanted to go more pop and, you know, whatever. But, and there was another song, Sent From Up Above, that I liked a lot. And Vanishing, which is a fan favorite. So
The Lambs like that.